Black African nations are so far beneath white and Asian nations that their statistics are in the negative column. The wealth gap is so great that it is a miracle that black Africa can survive, let alone compete. Only a glance at the maldistribution of wealth disparity in the world should point out the magnitude of the dilemma as well as the impact of 500 years of slavery that denied them the opportunity to own and control wealth producing resources. The burden of redistributing wealth will fall upon the shoulders of a black economy to save itself and aid African nations. Therefore, black dispersed peoples around the world must unify across geopolitical boundaries and forge economic alliances that allow them to collectively share and control resources, exploit mutual trade opportunities, and compete in the global markets. An economic alliance that allows blacks across the world to practice group economics have four elements. It must have one, surplus capital, two, middle class skills and professional training, three, control over technology and raw resources, and four, access to political power. Black Americans are an advantaged group. They have three or four required elements for an alliance. Even though their group position is less than other non-black Americans, blacks have some surplus capital and educated and skilled professional middle class and are politically situated within the most wealthy and powerful nation on earth. They have been marginalized in America by being denied ownership and control of resources, but they can now play a lead role in an economic alliance that could lift all black nations. If black Americans could arrange to link the black vertical industries and businesses in this country with the raw materials that come out of Africa, Brazil, and the Caribbean, and the 1 billion black consumers across the world, the alliance would be powerful. Um, no one nation has everything that is needed to become self sufficient, but we all have something we can bring to make that delicious stew we spoke of earlier, that we can sell to benefit everybody. The low productivity in black nations is traceable in major part to the fact that all of the major population groups have economic alliances. All of the major population groups have economic alliances. The exception is black people in Africa, America, Brazil, and the Caribbean. By grouping our wealth and financial markets, we can begin to compete for economic power. The European whites have a European common market. The Asians have the Asian Pacific Rim Economic Alliance. The Hispanics and non Hispanic whites have the North American Free Trade Agreement. For maximum political and economic clout, Black America should practice black nationalism, as discussed in Chapter 3, and link their various populations and resources around the world. Through vertical integration and ethno aggregation, Black Americans can exercise greater control over our capital, productivity, and markets. It is important to restate that Black America must play the lead role in shaping and developing economic alliances, especially in African countries. It will not work in reverse. Afrocentrism would be a more useful concept if it came to mean Afro American centric. Blacks in sub Saharan Africa, Brazil, and the Caribbean are not only too politically and economically depressed and unstable, but major democracies will not enable them to become independent enough to compete. They could only compete as an economic alliance behind the safety and stability of Black America. They could only compete as an economic alliance behind the safety and stability of Black America. But time is of the essence because the wealth and status of Black America is fragile and relative. Black Americans. Black Americans can use the empowerment tools of Powernomics to develop a game plan to bring all the other black nations around the world into an economic alliance that would allow them to compete worldwide. Conclusion. The cycle of wealth begins with control of natural resources. The cycle is now in the information stage. The 12 action steps presented in this chapter reflect the new orientation of practicing group economics and should give blacks new ideas about how to benefit from the cycle of wealth and take control of their economic future. Our groups use our neighborhoods and population, other groups, other groups use our neighborhoods and population as resources to enrich themselves. If others can become rich off of us, we must think out of the box and redirect our resources to our benefit. This chapter, this chapter provided guidance to communities, organizations, and individuals who wish to work toward fulfilling the vision of a self-sufficient and competitive Black America. Chapter 6, Industrialization, Using Your New Paradigms. Building industries is the first step toward building monopolies. Building industries is the first step toward building monopolies. In Chapter 5, we stress the importance of Black Americans constructing traditional business communities and practicing group economics based upon their competitive advantage of being a nation within a nation. This envisioned retail business communities would be a good first step. However, retail outlets would not be enough, especially if they are constructed as standalone businesses. They lose the unique advantages of being a part of a new developing Black community. We need complementary businesses that can produce interrelated products and services to magnify our competitive advantages in the marketplace. The nature of complementary businesses allows them to be vertically integrated into an industrial framework that can attract, hold, and redistribute large amounts of wealth and technological resources. Black America needs to own and operate industries within its own business communities that are competitive with businesses outside the community. In our use of the term industry, we are referring to certain types, classes, or collections of businesses and business activities that are needed to fully provide and satisfy a consumer demand for a finished product. It is not necessary for Black Americans to own and operate every kind of business, nor is it practical. We are a marginalized people who are coming into the business world 400 years late. Ooh! Behind the industrial power curve, Black Americans are in the Stone Age in terms of industrial development. Although slavery begot capitalism, which begot industrialization, which begot a continuous flow of technological advances, blacks were never the owners or direct beneficiaries of what their labor produced. Throughout the industrial revolutions, blacks remained captured but loyal consumers and mere spectators, chained to the lowest rung of the industrial ladder. The closest they ever came to industrializing occurred between 1865 and 1900. Mhm. During this brief period, about 3.6% of black Americans were engaged in some form of manufacturing. Today, other than as workers, the number of blacks in manufacturing has shrunk to approximately 1%. Neither white nor black leaders seem to grasp, grasp the importance of industrializing black America. If black people do not experience industrialization, a critical development process, there is little chance they will ever be able to compete in cyberspace or the evolving new world order. Without industries, there is no mechanism for producing black owned and controlled technology. Whites and ethnic groups are economically advantaged by industry while we are being economically disadvantaged. They have a history of being producers. They have a history of being producers, operating business communities and closing consumer markets to outsiders. But the technological revolution that is evolving offers a chance to improve our status. We can build special industries and become producers. Our industrial our industrial goal should not be to produce everything that black people need. Our goal should be to build industries that primarily produce products and services over which black people can establish competitive advantages or monopolies. It is it is around these group-based advantages that monopolies okay, it is around these group-based advantages and monopolies that we can build both vertical industries and supportive business communities. Technology, okay, good. Technology technology and the case for industrialization. There are a number of critical reasons why Black America must have its own industries. The most overarching reason is that owning industries will enable us to become a competitive, independent group. Also, our own industries will enable us to fully utilize our cultural, financial, and human resources. No other group is going to do it for us, and we should not expect it. Black people have been rendered an obsolete labor class by public policies and technology. Industries are the primary building blocks of wealth. Only industries have the muscle to build solid economic communities and eradicate our competitiveness, our non-competitiveness. Industry will become increasingly consequential to blacks. Wealth, power, and technological readjustments have left market gaps. Wealth, power, and technological readjustments have left market gaps. If Black America does not industrialize now, we run the risk of never being able to do so. This nation is moving onto thin ice and taking Black America with it. The industrial and manufacturing section, the industrial The industrial and manufacturing sectors continue to decline because the nation's corporate and political elite have mistakenly convinced themselves that computer technology and computer-based information will be the world's great wealth producers in the foreseeable future. Like the man who stared too long at the sun, the power elite is blinded by the wonders of technology. Small and large businesses are rushing to build industries around the manipulation of high tech information rather than owning the physical resources and traditional brick and mortar industries. They want to join those who have become multimillionaires overnight by either investing in or building businesses promoting high tech wizardry. Information based businesses are held up as the nation's dream models. The dot com businesses have made so much money that traditional businesses must find ways to keep revenue flowing and keep up with the technological developments. But there is not a pot of gold, but there is not a pot of gold at the end of every rainbow. Many dot coms are going out of business because they lack the brick and mortar to fulfill their electronic promises. Hmm. Despite some developing dark clouds, technology is becoming a religion with its own high priests and miracle workers. Corporate executives and politicians alike gamble that they can make profits and wealth by simply utilizing advancing technology to create intangible, specialized information. There is no doubt a great There is no doubt that great opportunities for profit and wealth exist in high tech and information, but at the bottom line, but at the bottom line, neither high profits nor specialized information can replace tangible products. Mhm. Especially those that are essential for life, such as food, water, and clothing. As companies choose information over tangible products to produce and distribute, this nation have will soon have fall back to industry. Fall back. Okay. Okay. As companies choose information over tangible products to produce and distribute, this nation will soon have no fallback industries. If the technology gamble fails. If the technology fails. Okay. Technology in Black America. Read this. Technology in Black America. The nation moves in this risky direction. As the nation moves in this risky direction, it perpetuates the propaganda that what is good for white America is equally good for Black America. Technology has not significantly improved this socioeconomic status of Black people anywhere in the world. Technology is advancing while Black people are either standing still or regressing. Tech, High tech advocates refuse to acknowledge the extent to which racial beliefs intrude into the development and use of technology. They argue that market forces will cause the right decisions to be made, yet, market forces are racially based. They respond to those with the greatest economic and political powers. In the context of globalization and cyberspace, Black America can take some protective steps to insulate itself from some of the risk that this nation is taking. Black America does not have to totally follow the majority society. Black America has options. If it acts like a nation within a nation, it can set its own direction in some matters, a direction that is in its own best best interest. Black America can craft its own industrial policy that includes a realistic role for the use of technology. In terms of competitive advantages, Black America would be much better off competing with third and fourth world nations rather than going head to head with major white industries in America. Perfect, 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 perfecto. Ándale pues, muchachitos. Muchachos, muchachitos. Ándale pues, ándale, ándale pues.